What's up, ladies and gents? I'm your host, Strats1. Welcome back to another video for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This time, we're going to be actually playing as Leatherface, and I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks on what to do. This is a brand new map. This is the first time I'm actually playing it as a family member, so it can be a little difficult when you don't know exactly where you're going or what you're doing. But that's why I'm going to be here as a guide to hopefully show you and help you out in the situation of where the game is released and maybe you need a little bit of help. So one of the fun things about playing Leatherface is he is the main man of the franchise, right? He is the one constant in almost every single Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie he's the mainstay, right? So he's the villain that you really want to know that they've done him right. And I really do feel that they have actually done him right. So, when starting out, you want to make sure you rev up your chainsaw, right? Now, you don't have to do this. If you want to wait until you see an enemy, that's fine too, but just remember it's going to take you longer to be able to get some hits on them. And the reason I say rev it up now mainly is because the enemy, or should I say the victims, right? Those are your survivors. They're called victims in this game because more than not, maybe one person will make it out, right? This is not one of those games that it's expected all four people to survive, unless they're completely working together and are just so much better than the family. Maybe one person should survive a match, and sometimes you can get all four of them, but that's why they're called victims as opposed to survivors. So if we turn it on at the beginning, we can go ahead and get into the hunt. The reason you don't necessarily want to wait is because the victims automatically know when you're getting close. The victims don't even need to see any of the family members to know that they're close, because there's going to be an emblem that appears around the screen. If it's yellow, that means they're semi-close. If it's red, that means they're right on you and they essentially know you're there. So because of that, go ahead and have it revved up and starting. So essentially, your ability for choosing Leatherface is simple. You can press up on the D-pad. I've been using controller. I don't know what it is on keyboard and mouse. That will just essentially show you where everything in the map is that has been highlighted. So if you want to know where an escape route is, do you want to know where the thing you need to turn on for the wheel and the generator to escape, all that kind of stuff will be turned on. When you see this show up, usually it means someone has escaped the basement. So the first time you see that, most likely it means someone has escaped. And you can see we're coming up on someone right here. Now, it's going to be difficult when you're playing as Leatherface to really catch up to these guys and do this, because obviously there are things that Leatherface cannot do. Where you have the hitchhiker, he's able to go through those tiny spaces, right? Sometimes you can get the best of these guys if you're a little smart, but see, we glitched here. So what's supposed to happen is you can see where it says press Y to thrust. Well, I was trying to thrust while I was going through, but it won't let you until he is far enough to where we can actually get in there. So essentially, they need to fix that. That's something I think they should fix. But you can get into this game of cat and mouse where you're just kind of playing Ring Around the Rosie for a while, and it can really, really suck. So I wouldn't fall prey into this, because you need to focus on being the best Leatherface that you can. So don't sit here and worry about one person, especially one person that's not doing anything. Continue to move around. Now you see these little bags right there? What you're going to want to do is essentially pick up those bags. If you look on the right side underneath Grandpa, you'll see it'll have like a meter of 0 to whatever. So the more blood you pick up, you're going to send that blood into Grandpa. You're going to let him drink it or whatever. That's going to gain his strength and allow him to search for enemies quicker. And essentially, once you get to level 4 with Grandpa, no enemy can be eluded, meaning that there is no more, there's stealth is thrown out the door. As soon as Grandpa does his little shriek, that's it. Everyone will know where you are, and it's just a race of time. But by the time they get to level 4, you've already had a lot of the level going on. Therefore, you should know the level by now. You should have a lot of things unlocked if you're a victim. Therefore, you should be, hopefully, in your case, you're getting ready to escape. Otherwise, if you're still in there, you're pretty much done for unless you're about ready to escape. Now, these things here, as I said earlier, the hitchhiker can actually crawl through them, but you can destroy these things. This means that they obviously can't crawl through them anymore. Same thing for this. It's a hit and miss if you want to destroy these things. The reason I do is so that I can clearly go to the other side, because if you notice, that also helps them as well. Now notice here, when he falls down the well, he was very, very damaged and injured, but he could have had a health on him. So as long as he had a slither of health, he's able to get right back in the game and still be able to manage and do what he needs to do. Unfortunately, as a family member, you cannot go down the well with them. So get to know where your wells are so you can kind of guess where he's coming out. That way you can tell maybe one of your family members that is down there to search for him or whatnot. But, you know, as I'm still learning this particular level, there is 2 main exits that I know of. One of them is through here. And there's another one on the far side that we'll go into a little bit later. Those 2 exits require a lot of lockpicks, right? You're going to need lockpicks on those 2 doors right there. You can go through either one of them, so that's 1 lockpick. Then you're going to need another lockpick to go through the office door. Then you're going to need another lockpick to go through the main door to the exit. And then that's when you can actually exit. So there's a lot of lockpicks that are needed if you are a victim in this level to go through each side. And it's practically the same thing on the other side. You'll need one to get through that main door. Then you need a second one to get through the second door. Then you could go to the exit. So here's the thing. Since you're Leatherface and you always start at the bottom of the level, so the basement, you know, kind of where everyone is, where all the enemies are, or all the victims, the hitchhiker and the cook start on top. You need to coordinate with them to say, listen guys, first things first, because they don't have any enemies surrounding them. They're doing nothing. They need to go, each one in a different direction. One needs to do the battery, which is 1 exit, and one needs to do the generator, which is the second exit. Those are the 2 main exits, you could say. There's also an exit in the basement. That exit is the fuse exit. So you need to get a fuse, which will be found on this level. Then you need to go find the fuse box. Then you can go back down and then escape. That essentially is the 3rd one. There's another one as well. There's a valve. Sometimes you'll see this little red circular valve, and you'll see these like kind of boiler things that you can put the valve into. Once you turn that, it'll open a gate or a door for a certain amount of time. That gate happens to be right out here. You can't see it right now because I'm not looking at it, but it's directly to our left. So if someone opens that up, you know, it's timed essentially, just like the fuse gate is timed as well. So they only have a certain amount of time before it'll just shut, and then they'll have to do that whole process again. This is that other side that I was talking about. If you go into these areas and you see that it still says locked, then you know no one has come in, because none of the victims can go in, then shut the door behind them, and then lock it. The victims do not have the ability to lock a door, which I don't necessarily understand why, because in Friday the 13th, the victims were the ones who could lock the door, or the survivors in that case. But only, yeah, so only I think it would have been a good idea to actually be able to have the victims lock a door like right behind them, so that way they know that it would take a little extra longer for one of the family members to actually, you know, get through and find them essentially. So as you can see, no one else on my team. I had a pretty bad match here, not because of myself, but no one else on the team is trying to give any blood to him. You know, I can't do it all. You got to get into matches where you're having fun, but you're also working together as a team. And you'll see in this match that it really didn't feel like a lot of my other teammates were doing stuff. So they should have been at this point collecting bags and then turning them back into Grandpa. That's what you essentially need to do. If you do not do this, then of course they're going to escape. You're going to have a lot escape. So I don't even need to go all the way in the back. That's where the battery is. Or actually, that's the generator. The generator is over that side, but I think it might be able to, I don't know if it switches or not, but the generator is going to be somewhere in that yard. And again, I'm just creating an easy passage for me to be able to go through, because as Leatherface I can't go through the tiny little holes like everyone else can. The only other one that can't do that either is the cook, so only the hitchhiker can go through those things. So we're gonna go ahead and come out here because it looks like my own teammates decided, you know what, we're not going to turn the generator on. Now luckily one of my guys actually did execute one of the enemies there. And so essentially here, all you got to do is follow the prompts, but you need to do them correctly. It will take some time to figure out how to do it, but once you get it, then you can actually do these in just 3 quick motions. But you got to be precise with your timing. So once that generator is on, essentially what that means is it's an electrified fence. So they're not going to be able to get out as easily. Now, if it's a gate that you're trying to open and it's electrified or whatever, there is a specific enemy that is able, or specific family member that is able to put a padlock on it. So essentially you can have the battery or generator, then you can have it locked, right? Because they still have to unlock it. Just because you turn off the battery does not mean you can just open the door. You can turn off the battery as a victim, but then you need to unlock it. Then you can escape. However, if you are is it the cook? It's not the cook. If you are, or what? It might be the cook. I'm drawing a blank on here, but one of the family members, either the cook or the hitchhiker, I can't remember exactly which one. It might be the hitchhiker, or the cook, because I know the cook can listen, but I think the cook also has 3 locks, so it's either the hitchhiker or the cook. I'm not really sure. When you see my gameplay with that, then you'll know. But one of those guys can put padlocks. He can do a total of 3 padlocks, and that obviously will be, that's 3 things that they have to do in order to get out of one of those exits. So there we go. See, one person escaped. Now, it did not say exactly where he escaped, but as you can see, this is open. So what he did is he did the valve, and that's how he was able to escape through the front entrance there. So he found a valve and then he used it, and then it opens that door for a split period of time. Essentially what you're going to want to do at this point is try to wait here until that closes, and then once it's closed, then you can go ahead and start kind of going back to business here. I like to constantly press up and use my ability because it allows me to be able to see if anyone is moving too fast or making noise, and I can also find out where my teammates are. There's only 1 victim left, and we're going to show them what being Leatherface is all about. I have fun while playing Leatherface, but I will be honest, I think I have the most fun playing the hitchhiker. And the reason I say that is because the hitchhiker can actually follow everywhere the victims can. And that is very, very important, because I can go through the tiny spaces that they crawl through. Granted, I don't have the strength or power like Leatherface does, but there's trade-offs for everything. Also, whenever you move around, one of the big things to take a note of is you make noise as well, so you can confuse your own teammates of the noises that you're making too. So as you can see, this is not turned on either, so we need to turn the battery on. Again, this is where the cook and the hitchhiker have one job to do at the very beginning, and it is very important. Turn the generator and battery on. If you do not do that, it is so easy for a victim to escape, especially on this map. Once that is on, then as the cook, I think you can go up if you have another lock. You can padlock it, give that extra security. But they haven't found him either. Now, notice how Grandpa's at level 3. Again, if you take that all the way up to level 4 and past at the very top, then essentially you're good to go. Like, you'll be able to find them easily and do business. But this match, unfortunately, the one that I'm recording you, is a lot of running around. and not really finding them that much. I mean, I'll have other matches here when we're playing as some of the other characters where we're actually doing some good hunting and chasing and all that kind of stuff, but everywhere I went, you know, they were really, really good at hiding. You cannot see enemies automatically. It's not like you're Jason and you have that ability to find out where the enemy is when you use your sense, right? Because you have that supernatural ability. These are just hillbillies, and they don't have any of those types of abilities. Now, notice that that's locked, which means that he has not gone through there, because it wouldn't be locked if he had. So that's just one quick way for you to realize and understand that, don't worry, someone is not where they could escape at that point. Alright, so we're still going around here, have not found him yet. But if you have any questions on the game and you want to know anything, feel free to ask me in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer. Again, always good to communicate with your teammates. These guys were not communicating. Hello, my pretty. At this point, I think you can say we got him. Now, they're going to get stuck here because essentially you can do a kind of a back and forth thing here. They'll never be able to leave that room unless they try to do the padlock, but then we can easily get to them. So we could have done an execution here, or we can actually take the enemy to one of these things. So this is just like Dead by Daylight, where you can take them to a hook, except here it actually makes big sense. You got to know kind of where to go. Certain doors will not be able to get you into where you want to go, especially when you're doing this as him. You just got to find these little hooks, and then you're good to go. My question is, I wonder if this thing that's next to the hook as well is another type of kill that you can do, or if that's all just tied to the same one. Glorious, glorious game. I'm having a blast playing it. I hope you guys are enjoying the content for it. Can't wait to play the final version, and we're going to be doing a lot of videos and live streams on it. So follow us over on twitch.tv/CenterTrainer1. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.